Aloha, my friends, my familia. These are some very profound times. They keep getting more profound. And before I begin here, I just want to send so much love out to everyone on the East Coast. It is mind-boggling and staggering, the events that have occurred and how deeply affected so many people on the East Coast are. If you have any ability to help or donate, I know there's a lot of people who basically lost everything, barely have water, food, the basic necessities. So sending huge prayers to absolutely everybody out there on the East Coast. Huge prayers for their well-being, that they be cared for, that they have all that they need, that they be safe, 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 safe. So just sending so much love and support to everyone on the East Coast. Before we even jump in here, I am Lotus Dawn. This is Blossom with Lotus, and the astrology is off the chain right now. I'm just going to say that the things happening in the stars with the planets as we gear up for this new moon solar eclipse. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of big shift. It's a lot of transformation. We are heading into our fourth eclipse of the year. We get 4 per year. So the good news is this is the last one of 2024. Okay. There's no more for 2024. Eclipses mark completion points. They mark finishing points. They mark endings, things being done, things being completed. And that can mean a lot of energy gets shifted, a lot of energy gets brought up, and we have our work cut out for us in terms of triggers and life events around us that tend to bring everything up to the surface. And so the number one suggestion I would give to everyone at this time that is experiencing any shift, any intensity, any level of thing in your life happening is to, one, reach out for support and love, find your community, find your friends, because we are in a community. We are all connected. Just like where I live here in the redwood forest, redwood trees grow in a circle, not alone. And no one of us is an island. We are all interconnected with one another. And it is so important during these times of transformation and intensity, times of the phoenix, I will call them, where we're going through so many cycles of rapid transformation and rebirth. We must find our tribe. We must find the people that we align to and connect with them. And so in keeping with that, I'm going to be hosting a new moon solar eclipse activation event tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to dive deeper into the astrology that's happening with this new moon eclipse, and to also offer a space and a place to do some energy healing, some energy work around what these times are bringing up for the collective, as well as just to kind of hold space together to go into this new moon eclipse as a tribe, as a community, because for thousands of years, these events, the solstices, the equinoxes, have always brought us together. And one of the reasons that they have always brought us together is because the eclipses, the solstices, equinoxes, and eclipses bring us together. And one of the reasons that the eclipses bring us together is that the sun and moon on either a solar eclipse or lunar eclipse will be directly aspecting what is called the destiny points of the moon. There are 2 of them. One is called the karmic past life point, and this relates to where in the collective or in our own birth chart we are dealing with energies of the past versus the destiny point about where we're going in the future. So those 2 points are really helpful for both knowing about our own selves, our own lives, where we were, South Node karmic point, what we're kind of working on letting go, North Node destiny point, where we're headed. Okay, and so at every huge eclipse, the sun and moon are activating those 2 points. And so the eclipses are really destiny points. They're kind of cosmic destiny check-in points for all of humanity. Of course, depending on where those destiny points and the sign of the sun and moon fall in your astrological birth chart, will determine how those energetics are going to affect you personally. And so that's why I'm offering the event tomorrow. So if you haven't been to my events, what I tend to do is we'll go into what's happening astrologically. And then at a certain point, we're going to bring up your charts and I'm going to share with you where what I have shared will be affecting you personally, right? So to October 2nd, when the eclipse occurs at the new moon time, the sun and moon are going to be in Virgo. So wherever you have Virgo in your chart, that is going to be where this eclipse, this new moon energy is going to be activating you. And the most profound thing about eclipses is that this one's at a new moon. You've probably heard me talk about the power of the new moon time for setting intentions. It's the darkest time of the moon. We get the most clear on who we are and what we desire. And because the moon is not putting out the incredible magnetism that it has, that literally creates the tides, it allows us to focus so much more deeply on what it is that we wish to create. Wow, it's so powerful. And so, because it's an eclipse and it is a check-in point with destiny, because it is activating the nodes of the moon, the effect of this new moon intention setting time becomes super activated and enlarged and expanded. And so, instead of the new moon intention period being the typical 2 weeks from new moon to full moon, it is going to be 6 months. So what is your intention? Because in the next 6 months, you're going to see huge things happen on the planet. And so the idea, the suggestion, one reason I'm doing the event tomorrow is to start getting us thinking about if the power of this new moon is going to have such a far-reaching effect 6 months from now, what is it we really want to create? And are there energy blocks in the way of this? And let's clear them so that we can get everyone on par for where they want to be and where they want to go. Okay, so that's happening tomorrow. I'm doing this event, live event, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like to join us, if you'd like me to read your chart and share where this astrological equinox, excuse me, this eclipse, we've been through the solstice, the equinox, now 2 eclipses. So this second eclipse, the final eclipse of the year, where this eclipse, new moon, sun and moon in Virgo, plus Mercury will be in your chart. Come and join us. I will leave the link below. Comment below if you'd like to be involved. Send me your birth time if you haven't sent me your birth time so we can include you. And finally, let's show you where the sun and moon are at right now. So most of you, if you follow mainstream astrology, would think that this upcoming new moon is happening in Libra. That's what mainstream astrology says. However, because I follow True the Stars sidereal astrology, which is based on where the stars and planets are actually located, that means that this coming new moon solar eclipse is happening in the constellation of Virgo. So here's Virgo. Virgo is the largest constellation. It takes literally 47 to 49 days for the sun to travel through the entire length of the constellation. You can look at Leo. It's a much smaller constellation, so it takes the sun a lot less time, as is Cancer, a much smaller constellation. And we get to Virgo, and Virgo is huge, right? It's absolutely huge. And that leads me, that means sun and moon are going to be together in Virgo, conjunct the south node of the moon, which is the past life karmic point. And that is huge, my friends. This is very unusual new moon time. The south node of the moon means that we are dealing with collectively at this new moon time things from the past. Things from the past. And in fact, that the next 6 months may well be a time where we are processing, transmuting, and transforming wherever we have this new moon, sun, Virgo energy in our birth chart will be the area and arena of our lives that we're going to be processing out. We're going to be composting out a lot of old energies. Okay. And so that's one reason I've decided to put together this event so that you can come tomorrow and find out what arena of your life, where is this going to be happening so that you can be prepared, you can be on it, you can be dealing with it in advance so you know ahead of time. And it's so amazing tonight we have the sun and Mercury. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, literally in the heart of the sun, exact same degrees. This is called Mercury Cazimi, the sun. And what does that mean? Well, Cazimi is actually a Latin word, and Cazimi means in the heart of. Yeah, so it means in the heart of. So Mercury is in the heart of the sun. Yeah. So what does that mean? Well, Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of expression. It is the planet of travel, right? So when you have Mercury, the planet of communication, in the heart of the sun, hi, let's take a look at this. Well, let's think about this for a minute. What does it mean? What does Mercury mean? And what does the sun mean? And what does it mean to have Mercury in the heart of the sun? Well, Mercury is communication. What does that mean? Well, communication is you listening on the other side of the computer over there where you are. You're listening to my words, right? Or you're speaking and I'm listening to you, right? It's the back and forth of thoughts, feelings, emotions, one person's point of view and perspective being shared to another. Okay, so Mercury is really about the free flow of information. It can represent the media, it can represent the internet, it can represent the postal service, it can represent phone calls, typewriters, books, anything that conveys intellectual information that is conveyed across some carrier from one person to another. Think telephones, think computers, think writing a letter or receiving a letter, think the post office, think any type of email that you receive. That is the energetic of Mercury. It can also relate to news broadcasters, performers, speakers, people who communicate for a living, people who broadcast for a living. And it is in the heart of the sun. The sun is illumination. The sun is shining. The sun is the biggest light, right? It is the biggest light. And there's my hand. Sun is shining. Sun is the glow. Sun is the soul. Sun is shining like the sun, right? And so today we have Mercury in the very heart of the sun. Let me check this out. Check this out. So the sun is 15 degrees of Virgo, Mercury 15 degrees of Virgo, exactly conjunct, maybe a couple off second wise. This is a time to communicate. This is a time for information to be shared. This is a time for knowledge to be revealed. If you have something in your heart that needs to be expressed, this is the time to do it, because when Mercury gets too close to the sun, either one side or the other, the sun's heat can kind of burn the planet. And so it can be a difficult time for conversations. It can be a difficult time to express yourself. However, when Mercury then travels exactly into what is called the heart of the sun, Mercury Cazimi, the sun, we get this magic sweet spot where Mercury is no longer being affected by the heat of the sun. And so Mercury is what our thoughts, thinking, expression, speaking, words, audio, videotapes. And so here we are, we're in the perfect sweet spot for our expression, our communication, our word to be shared and to be heard across the planet. Okay, so here I am, I'm out in this redwood forest, and I am tuning in to the energetics of the astrological energies right now. I'm sharing with you how intense they are. I'm getting to express, I'm getting to speak, and I'm getting to communicate this message. And so the invitation for all of you then is, what is your message? What is your purpose? What is in your heart? What is in your soul? that wants to be expressed and communicated right now. Because with Mercury in the heart of the sun, this is a very, very powerful time for that communication. Now, another thing that's happening simultaneously that we have Mercury in the heart of the sun is that today we had very high solar flare activity. So if you're in California, you may have noticed it was very, very hot. And so I've recently started watching and learning from a really helpful free website. And this free website is called spaceweatherlive.com. And on it, you can go to learn all about solar flare activity and what's happening for the day, which is very helpful. And today we had a really large solar flare. So let's check it out. We're going to go on over to spaceweatherlive.com. And here we go. The maximum X-ray flux of the past 2 hours was M7.68. Now, for those of you who are new to studying solar flares, which I'm still kind of relatively new, the highest solar flare is the X class solar flare. Before the first level is C level solar flare and then M. And so you can see with the numbers after the M that it wasn't just an M class, but it was an M class plus plus. So we're going to go down to the graph here. And this was from today. You can see it's the solar flare activity from, the last couple days, 29th, 28th, 28th, 29th, 30th. There's a bit of a spike on the 29th yesterday. Calm down, pretty mellow, pretty mellow, pretty mellow. And then just towards the evening tonight at 23:50 UTC. So I'm thinking that's maybe England time. So that would be, goodness, several hours back. We hit the high point of the solar flare activity that we've had for the last several days, and it was at an M.7. And you can see, if you look at this graph here, that is absolutely the highest solar flare activity we've had for several days. And then it dropped right on back down. But what this can mean is that around midnight UTC, which I would imagine was probably about 3 or 4 hours ago, we had this incredibly big spike of solar flare activity. And, you might be asking, Lotus, what does that even mean? I've never even heard of solar flares before. Well, the sun, of course, is always very hot. And the solar flare is just a spiking of that energetic, okay? And it's currently back on down to the C6F9, but the main peak today was M768. And so, here are some pictures, of course, of the sun, solar flares, right? So here's the sun, and it's doing its thing. And every so often, some of the solar energy kind of flares out, and the heat and the radiation from that is very strong, and it may take some time, but it eventually hits the Earth. And when it hits the Earth, essentially what we're dealing with is extremely high radiation. Solar flare basically means radiation, okay? And so knowing, do we have a big solar flare today? Why is that helpful? Well, one thing you may notice if we have really high solar flare activity is that you may feel very tired. Just simply imagine solar flare, increase in radiation. Well, what are some things that radiation can cause? What can cause us to feel more tired? It can cause us to feel headachy. It can cause physical symptoms. And 2024 is expected to have the highest level of solar flares that we've had. We're currently in a solar storm that is peaking in the next couple years. And so the solar flare activity for the next couple years is only going to increase. This is not something that's going to stop. It's going to simply increase. And so what are some tools, techniques to handle increased solar flare activity? One thing that I've read, besides the basics of extra water, extra sleep, electrolytes is really upping your intake of raw organic fruits and vegetables like raw juice, raw salads, raw fruits like papayas and mangoes and pineapples, these sort of high frequency raw foods and fruits, because radiation essentially acts as a trigger for detoxification. So if you have any illness in your body, if you have any toxicity, and we come across a big solar flare day, that radiation is going to act as a trigger to bring all the toxins in your body up and out of wherever they've been hiding. It's similar to the effect of a full moon, because a full moon, one of the things that it's doing is it's increasing the reflectivity of the sun onto the earth, which increases the radiation level. And if many of you notice that at high, big full moon time, sometimes we get tired, we have physical reactions. It's because the radiation level is going so high. And so one of the best things at this time when we have increasing radiation from solar flares, as well as this upcoming new moon solar eclipse, is to drink lots of water, is also to increase your uptake of raw foods, fruits and vegetables, salads. Eat lighter, because that solar flare energy is triggering a detox reaction. So use it, utilize it as a cleanse day, utilize it as a purification day. Drink lots of water, eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, eat that salad as opposed to a heavy lunch. Okay, and that's going to help you. And one way to notice it is that on days that we're having solar flares, it will feel not only hot, but it will feel kind of like an oppressive heat. And that can typically mean we have a solar flare. Now, if you're wanting to stay up to date on this yourself and keep checking and learning about this solar flare activity, I highly recommend, and this has been very, very helpful, is to go to here. Go to spaceweatherlive.com, and then you can see it shows here all of the latest severe G4 geometric storms. It can show you solar flare activity. So you can go to solar activity, solar flares, real-time solar activity. Let's see what we get there. All right, so you can come here and take a look at what the sun is doing right now. Right. You can also read reports, which I think is very helpful. Reports. Let's see, we'll look at a solar activity report from today. All right. Solar activity. This was not recent, so look at the 3-day forecast. So October 1st, let's check it out. So it looks like the next couple days should be pretty mellow, but today was definitely a real peak energy level with the M class solar flare. So go check this out if you want to follow this. If you are interested, there's so much information available to you all. It's actually really, really awesome to have this information available to you all. It's actually really, really awesome to have this information available to you all. Thank you, Lotus. Just checking to see if there's any comments. Yeah, if anyone has any comments or shares about how they were doing today, the energetics are really big and they're building. They're building in intensity. You can kind of imagine that this new moon solar eclipse energetic is similar to a full moon, as opposed to acting like a normal new moon will. Okay, so how do you prepare? Imagine that you're in a sacred ceremonial time on the planet, and that everything that's being brought up is part of an initiation for your highest and best, and that we are beginning to start a huge shift in the cycle that is going to lead us into the next 6 moons. For those of us in the northern hemisphere, we've just had the equinox, we're moving towards the winter. And those of us in the southern hemisphere, we just had the big shift into spring and summer. Okay. And so this is the changing of the cycle. This is the changing of the seasons. We're feeling it in our bodies. We're feeling it in our bones. There's high solar flare activity. There's massive storms. There's a sense of big change in the air and a lot of unknowns. And so, in order to handle this with equanimity, with grace, and with balance, I highly recommend getting really in tune with yourself, taking as much time over the next 3 days, right? We tend to think that, the work week, we stay busy, we stay active, it's go, go, go. But I really want to encourage you all to slow down, take some time out to sort of see this as a sacred ceremonial time to begin getting very clear on what it is you want to leave behind at the eclipse and what you want to pick back up again going forwards, because the effect of this new moon is powerful. It's happening on the destiny points of the moon. And therefore, whatever we set our intentions for into the next 6 months are going to have a really large effect on us, on our lives, and on our future. So I'm also going to be sharing discounted solstice, I keep saying solstice, new moon eclipse readings. If you want to find out, you can't make it tomorrow to the event and you want to find out where this eclipse energy, new moon energy is affecting you, send me a direct message or comment below. And I look forward to hearing your shares, your stories, and your comments. These are powerful times. So many people going through so many, many things. And so I just want to say a quick prayer for all of you, wherever you are, whatever you're going through. Just making a prayer from God, from Source, from the highest heavenly realms, that you have everything that you need, that you are safe, that you are cared for, that you have clarity, support, and love, and you be guided with unerring clarity towards exactly where you need to be, who you need to be with, and what you are going to be doing at this time. It's important that we come together, that we tap into our purpose and what we are here for, and that we be guided unerringly towards that with the greatest of ease and joy and glory. Sending you so much love and appreciation. I also just started a Telegram channel where I am sharing daily updates about what's happening astrologically, and it's so helpful to be able to just record a memo for you all and you get to hear it, and it gives you so much information that you can use to guide your day. So I really love and appreciate you all. I send you love from the redwood trees. This is not a background. This is where I really am, right here in the forest with the plants and the leaves and the trees. Looks like a background, doesn't it? And so I send you love from Mother Earth, from my heart. Stay focused on what you love. Stay focused on your heart and know that everything's happening for our highest and best good. Trust, surrender to the process, surrender to the initiation, and know that on the other side, we're all going to be feeling even more expanded, even more lit up, and even more in touch with the true power, beauty, and might of our divine souls. Biggest love, my friends. Mahalo, aloha, and sending you all so much love. Mahalo.